To begin this card, I'm going to be stamping on a very small piece of Whisper White cardstock. So I'm going to use some dado adhesive just onto my grid paper to hold it in place. So I'm just going to use the grid paper as a guide to make sure I have it straight up and down. Then I'm going to be using the imaging sheet that I created with the vellum cardstock, and we're going to be stamping the thanks sentiment, and this comes from the Full of Life stamp set. So my imaging sheet is going to be quite a bit bigger than my cardstock underneath, so that's why I adhered it down to my grid paper. So I'm going to put the Stampin' into place, and I'm going to ink up this thanks from the Full of Life in Old Olive ink, and then I'm stamping it onto a piece of Whisper White that's going to be 2 inches by 2 1/4 inches. And so then I've got my sentiment perfect on there. So then you just lift this up and then just rub off your adhesive. I love Dado Repositionable. Now we're going to stamp our butterfly. So this is from the Flight of the Butterfly stamp set, and I'm stamping it onto a scratch piece of Whisper White, and I'm inking it up in pink Pirouette. And then you just want to cut it out. So I've done that ahead of time. So we can move all this out of the way. And we can bring in the next part that we need to work on. So I'm going to be creating a border on my card. And I've got a little piece of chocolate chips. This is going to be 5 1/4 by 1/2 inch. And I'm going to be using the Pinking Hearts border punch. So I'm just going to slide this in and start working my way down the punch. Okay, catch the last little bit. On this one, if it takes you an extra second to line it up, then by all means take it, because you don't want it to be off. Alright, let me scoot all of this out of the way. And I've got a piece of pink Pirouette that's going to be 1/2 inch by 5 1/4 inches. And I'm going to go ahead and put adhesive all the way down the length of it. Now I'm going to pick up this chocolate chip piece. I don't want to see the hearts. I just want the pinking edge to it. So once again, this is another favorite punch of mine because I can get more than one use out of it. And use it if I want hearts, or if I don't, I just get that fun little border. So that's what I was creating. Now I'm going to set this aside, but I want to set it aside with the back showing because there's still adhesive at the top and I don't want it to stick to anything. So now let's start layering our words. So I'm going to layer our sentiment, the thanks, onto a piece of pink Pirouette that's going to be 2 1/4 by 2 1/2. And then these are going to get layered onto a piece of Old Olive that's going to be 2 1/2 by 2 3/4. So there's that. Alright, now the base of our card is going to start at 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and I've scored it at 4 1/4. Get it nice and pressed down. Then I have a piece of Whisper White that's going to be 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And it will go onto our card when we're ready, right about here. But we're going to add some more to it. So I'm going to take the little flower, and this is also from the Flight of the Butterfly. And I don't want a ton of flowers on here. I just don't want it to be so white. So this is going to be in that pink Pirouette once again. So just a few flowers. Now our sentiment is going to go right on top. So you just want to make sure that you've got enough flowers. Like if you want to go back in and add another one up there, now's the time to do it. And as I look at it, I'm going to add just a little bit right there on the side. Okay, so now I can close this up for right now. And we're going to start putting our layers on. So I'm going to add just a little bit more adhesive. And then this is going to go across the front of our card about 1/2 inch from the bottom. And then we're going to turn to some ribbon. So this is the Old Olive Dotted Scallop ribbon. I'm going to take a piece that's a little bit longer than my cardstock. And then grab a mini glue dot. And just loop this over about 1/2 inch from the left-hand side. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this onto the front of my card, onto that pink Pirouette. Whoops. Put it on the correct way. Works out a little bit better. Alright, and now I'm going to grab dimensionals for my words. just going to put 4 of these bad boys on there. Okay. And this will just tuck right here onto my card. So now for my butterfly, normally I would use a dimensional, but this is a little bit little and I don't want to have extra adhesive showing. So I'm just going to take a glue dot for this. But don't worry, we're going to add more to our fun butterfly. So that's just going to tuck right there. And so now let's work on our button. I'm going to use from the Neutrals collection one of the chocolate chip buttons, and it's going to sit right down here. Now at this point you have a choice. You can either thread your baker's twine through the holes on your button, or you can make a bow and stick it on there. Grab another little mini glue dot, and because it's so the baker's twine's real narrow, I'm going to fold my glue dot in half and then just pick up that bow, put it in the center of my button. Then I'll grab another glue dot, and I'm actually grabbing 2. I'm doing 1 on each side of the button, and then it'll just tuck in like so. Okay, now I said we'd dress up our butterflies, and I'm not lying, so let's go ahead and get out our rhinestone jewels. So I have a ton of little pieces left in my case. So these little DVD cases from Stampin' Up! Are the best way to keep up with all your rhinestones and your brads. So I'm going to take the little rhinestone and just add these to the center of my butterfly. So now let's do the inside of our card. So I'm going to take the same butterfly and I'm going to stamp it, and this is on a piece of Whisper White that's going to be 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, so it's the same as the front. Then I'm going to sprinkle in some more little pink Pirouette flowers, just to kind of coordinate the inside of the card to the outside of the card. Then all we're going to do is just take this and put it in the center of our card. And then there you have your very beautiful, very easy to make thank you card.